Here's the thing that'll really strike fear into your hearts. It's important for those of us who are faculty to be in there too. This is my blog. Gardner writes. I think that's why Madeline says Madeline may write. I'm not sure. It's a little secret handshake. I don't often blog about specific classes because I don't want students to think that I'm sharing with the world how I'm feeling about them in a particular moment. But I do reflect. And sometimes I will say some things that do tie in to other classes. I've been doing more of that. Steve Greenlaw has been after me to talk more about what happens on a daily basis. I think he's right. This happened after a particular class was done. Theme parks and sandboxes was something I had just read online. I wanted to think about it. So I posted this thing. A student who was in the first year seminar that fall and was reading my blog, and I didn't know he was reading my blog, read what I had to say about education generally, and thought about it in terms of the class we had just had. One that he wasn't quite satisfied with, for reasons that had become a little clearer to him after reading my reflection. This is a moment of profound observability, and not a little bit of terror. What happens if I open up my own ideas, thoughts, even feelings about a particular educational experience I've tried to craft, and students read that? In this case, the student became thoughtful and entered into a conversation with me. But then, after Andrew left, oh, and he's in bold here because he was blogging by then. After he left his comment, a student from another class who had had me, I guess 2 semesters before, who also read my blog, interacted with the first student and said, "You're being too hard on yourself. I've looked at the website you created, which is on the open web, so anybody can see it. I think you did really well." Well, this is observable and persistent and intimate. So what to do? My thinking is, Web 2.0 gives us a stunning set of free and effective possibilities to diversify and de-intensify. Small pieces loosely joined, not huge pieces tightly joined. Small Pieces Loosely Joined is actually the name of a book by David Weinberger. It's on the web at smallpieces.com. And he talks about the way in which the web actually works and adds value to the human community. I think he's got some excellent points to make. And in my own teaching, using these small pieces loosely joined has had some pretty interesting effects, especially when the students take the small pieces with them. Brian Lamb, a friend of mine at the University of British Columbia who works in their Teaching and Learning Center, has, I think, written brilliantly about the need to teach our students not where the digital Dropbox is, but how to manage data flows. Because managing data flows is another way of thinking about education, critical reasoning, organizing one's life as an intellectual. Web 2.0, I think, gives us a rich set of analogies, parables, examples of data flows and management. SOA stands for Syndicated Oriented Architecture. Whatever we do online has got to be able to be republished, mixed up, mashed up, repurposed. And I think we have to sort out our priorities. I've heard many digital reps come in and talk about the digital campus, top to bottom integration. I think that's backwards. We need digital faculty and digital students. Then we can think about the digital campus, digital systems. A quotation and then one more slide. This is Jerome Bruner on the need for intimacy in education. I think he nails it. I think it's only to the extent that this stuff gets under our skin, gets next to us, matters to us, that it becomes truly meaningful. Man's working image of himself is anchored in his sense of intimacy, in the events and relations that are the fabric of his immediate experience and make up his way of life. And here's the good part, as a digression. It isn't that we simply cater to the intimacy that students bring to the party, bring to the educational environment. We help them expand the world of things that matter to their ways of life. We help them understand how many things could get under their skin. Why? Because change in the individual is a function of how much and in what manner and intimate way of life is altered. So if we want education to be like the water that rolls off the proverbial duck's back, let's keep things closed. Let's keep things big and tightly integrated. Let's keep things disposable. Let's have GPAs, let's have credit hours, let's have all those things that make administering education easy, while the object of administration, education itself, vanishes. If we don't want that, then I think Web 2.0 is one way to get at those larger desires and afford a kind of experience of observability, persistence, intimacy, in a way that will scale, because we as faculty don't have to do it all. We prime the pump. The learners in a sufficiently vital context will take it on themselves, because it'll be part of who they are. I believe this survey is still up. It was this morning. If it is still up, I would urge you to go take a look. The Educational Learning Initiative is doing a Grand Challenges survey. They've got a list of about 20 or so of items of interest, topics of discussion, and so forth, asking the question, what do you think are the top 10 things we need to be thinking about as we move forward as educators in a technology-augmented environment? And if you go to that link, you'll find a very brief survey. It'll take you maybe 5 or 10 minutes at most. And we would be very, very interested in your responses. We're going to be talking about these challenges at a special EDUCAUSE session in a couple of weeks down in Florida. And I will be there at that session, and I would be happy to take with me whatever things you'd like for us to discuss, and would encourage you to be part of this survey. I hope it's still, it was supposed to be taken down yesterday, but it was still up this morning, so I think maybe you can still get to it. But thank you, you've been very patient. I've gone on far too long. It's very difficult to get me to breathe once I get started. I have some time for Q&A. I would be happy to engage with you then, and I'll be here for the next couple of days